Austin now, live from the Fox 7 Austin newsroom. We have slowly but surely improved our situation here. So shout out to everyone behind the scenes, our engineers, sound people, Johnny, of course, our floor director, who has helped with much of the lighting in here. But we've got some new features tonight. We're going to try those out. I can't guarantee that everything is going to work perfectly smooth there, but we are hoping it does. We did test some of this out. So hopefully giving you a better visual element in the stories we are trying to telling you today. So I wanted to start with an update on this manhunt that is still underway in Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island. Many of you probably saw over the weekend this mass shooting at Brown University on the Ivy League campus. We were in here in the newsroom about I should say it was about 3 p.m. on Saturday. We got wind of there being a mass shooting. We didn't have any numbers yet. We didn't know how many people were injured. We did learn eventually that 2 people were killed, 9 others were injured, so 11 involved in total. That manhunt still underway as FBI and other law enforcement in the area continues to update us. And we've heard from the police chiefs, we've heard from FBI special agents, we've heard from the university president at Brown, who has received a lot of criticism as people think, hey, in this day and age with so many cameras, with so much surveillance, with everyone having a smartphone for the most part, you would think they would probably have someone in custody by now. That is not the case. So I wanted to show you guys an update from law enforcement on this situation. They did release some new images, so I will bring those up for you now. As I said, we're trying new things out here, so hopefully this works here. But I wanted to pull this up. As you can see here, this is from Fox News earlier today. This is about 3 hours ago. During this press conference, a new lead, they say, in this, releasing new surveillance images of a person they believe is a person of interest. You can see them there. It looks like they're wearing all black. I'll rewind it there for you guys. They even have a mask on there. It looks like a black beanie as well, putting his hands behind his back. It looks like to be a male. We can't confirm that, of course, but this is the person of interest that law enforcement is referring to. Now, there was a person that was initially detained in all of this. That person was eventually released yesterday. That was just as I was going home. We had finished our 9 o'clock show, get an update, of course, from Fox News, an alert saying the person that was detained is now being released. So it's as though they have sort of re-kicked this thing down the line, and they're trying to figure out exactly who this person is. Now, the FBI spoke earlier, as you'll see here. This is also from Fox News. I think I can pull myself in this thing right there. Can you guys see me up there on the left? See, like I said, new features here. So hopefully this helps a little bit. I don't want to cut off too much of this, but this is Ted Dox talking here. He is an FBI special agent in charge, and he is going to provide an update on this shooting. So I'll let this play. Hopefully you guys can hear all this. If you don't, let us know, of course. Reach out to us. So I'm just going to let this play. And you'll see up there on the right, of course, that person of interest. I guess you can't. How can you hear it?
FBI is now renewing our call for the public's assistance in seeking. Renewing our call.
So this is Ted Dox talking, FBI special agent in charge.
Information about the shooter.
And that person of interest.
No amount of information is too small or irrelevant. We are also here to announce the FBI is now offering a reward of $50,000 for information that can lead to the identification, the arrest, and the conviction of the individual responsible, who we believe to be armed and dangerous. We're asking everyone in Rhode Island and beyond to review the new images of the suspect, share them on social media, and come forward if you have any information. You can contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or the tips provided by the police department at 401-272-3121, or you can also provide tips electronically and submit it to tips.fbi.gov.
All right, so that is FBI special agent in charge.
Public assistance in seeking any
Ted Dox talking there, and as if some of you probably heard, he's really asking for the public's help once again. As you can see here, as reported by Fox News, authorities providing that update. They are now offering a reward of $50,000 for any information that could lead to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the individual responsible. So This manhunt's still underway. I want to show you those images again of that person that we were referring to. As I mentioned, there was a person detained. They were eventually released. Here's a new lead. It looks like they're grabbing any sort of surveillance footage as they can. Now, according to this, though, this was an image that was actually grabbed, I believe, before the shooting took place. And this was according to this press conference earlier. So we're continuing to get images coming in. They're grabbing any sort of surveillance that they can, even canvassing neighborhoods, knocking on doors, trying to get ring camera footage, doing really anything they can to try and get information on this person involved. As I mentioned, the shooting happening on Saturday, 2 people were killed, 9 others were injured. And I wanted to also run through basically the timeline that we're dealing with here. So this was the story initially released by Providence. This was the press conference held in Providence. Police now entering day 3 here of this search, as I mentioned. So as you can see, that shooting happened around 4 p.m. local time, Saturday afternoon. And this was an engineering building. And oddly enough, and we talked about this in here, oddly enough, with it being a Saturday, there was actually an exam going on. So a lot of students trying to finish their exams, trying to get home for Christmas from what it sounds like, unfortunately being met with this person here and gunning down 2 of them. Now, we did learn, as you can see here, 2 of the people that died, Ella Cook, and bear with me on this one, Muhammad Aziz Amirzakov. They died in the shooting. Cook was only 19 years old. It was reported that she is the president of the University College Republicans. A lot of politicians coming out today and also offering their condolences for both students, and also mentioning the fact that she was heading up the College Republicans on campus, everyone from even the Vice President J.D. Vance. So if we look at the timeline here, Saturday at 4:22 p.m., Brown University notifies the campus of an active shooter, okay? This shooter enters that engineering building and begins firing, killing those 2 people, injuring the 9 others. So then a shelter-in-place order gets issued for the entire campus. This was later lifted as police searched for the shooter, and then the university president, Christina H. Paxton, described the shooting as a, quote, tragic day for the institution. She was then asked by a reporter about this and whether or not she knew if there was the final exam or what was exactly going on in the classroom. She didn't have enough details. So right away, this was being criticized by a lot of people, including the reporters that were there on the ground asking these questions. So we move forward in the timeline. This is another video released by Providence Police of that what they believe is the shooter here. You can see it's a different angle from behind here. Obviously, it looks like the same person wearing that beanie as I was describing earlier, as well as the mask. And here's more of a still image for you that you can see. This is what they were referring to as that person. So just to kind of give you an overhead view of what we're looking at here, that person of interest, where they're grabbing these images, it looks like it's just outside of that engineering building, which is here in the red. So here's that distance there. So then we flash forward to 5:42 a.m. on Sunday morning. So this is more than 12 hours later. They finally lift the shelter in place, allowing students to leave. As I mentioned, you've got students in this classroom trying to finish their final exam, what could be their final exam for the entire quarter semester. I'm not quite sure what they're on, just trying to go home. And then at 3:45 a.m., we learned that authorities had a person of interest detained who eventually was released. So there's still a lot to be learned here. They're still asking for the public's health. As I mentioned in that press conference, as you saw there from the FBI special agent, they are resorting to asking the public once again for any type of information, going door to door, trying to figure out exactly who this person is. And President Trump was asked about this today as well. He said rather than ask the FBI, you need to ask the university. So not quite sure if he's putting any blame on them for that, but a lot of people being critical of that as well. Coming up, we are going to talk about another deadly mass shooting that also occurred over the weekend, this time in Australia. We do have sort of a local tie to that, and you'll see that later in Katie Pratt's story coming up at 9 o'clock. So we'll go over that shooting as well and the updates that we have learned, and then we will also talk about Rob Reiner and his wife, who were tragically killed, it looks like, by their son who was detained. We'll be right back. into Austin now, live from the Fox 7 Austin newsroom. If you're just joining us, as I mentioned in the first segment of the show, we've got some new things here. So like I said earlier, shout out to everyone who's working behind the scenes to try and get this thing up and running and make it all work. And I've got to be honest, I'm slowly figuring out how to work all of this as well. So we're trying to offer you a better visual element in all of this storytelling and be able to let you guys sort of interact more with exactly what we're looking at. Because for the last month, I may have had something on my computer screen, or maybe I'm reading off a piece of paper. You may hear me, but you don't know exactly what I'm referencing, and we weren't able to always show you that visual component of it. So we're trying to do a better job of that. So bear with us as we go through this, but you'll see we've got some interesting things like I can essentially, pull this up here. Then you can have that computer screen, then you can have me up there in the left-hand corner. So we'll try and do things that way. But I wanted to get into something that occurred yesterday on the very first day of the Hanukkah celebration. We learned of another mass shooting after the Brown University shooting that we just talked about. And this really shocking images coming out of Bondi Beach in Australia. As I mentioned, the first day of Hanukkah, a Jewish community attacked, a Jewish community seemingly celebrating this first day of Hanukkah on this beach, a very popular beach. And we were getting images early on, videos early on, of what appeared to be two men with rifles shooting into this crowd of people that, looked like they were trained to fire these weapons. And there were some close-up images of what looked like bolt-action rifles used in all of this. So at the current toll right now, based on what Fox News has reported, 16 dead, including one of the gunmen. We did learn later in the afternoon, this was yesterday, that it was a father-son duo that appeared to open fire on this Jewish community, and there has been a ton of backlash, obviously, in the wake of all this, people saying that there is a rise in anti-Semitism. This isn't a total attack on not just those people on the beach, but the entire Jewish community, and really just horrifying images. So we did learn from the New South Wales Police Commissioner, this is Mal Lanyon, during a press conference on Monday, that it was a 50-year-old man and a 24-year-old son. The father is dead. The son is in critical but stable condition. He is in the hospital. Lanyon also said they are not looking for any additional suspects at this time. The father was a licensed gun owner with 6 legally registered firearms. All 6 of the firearms have been recovered, with some being recovered actually at the scene. The others were located and recovered when investigators executed search warrants at 2 separate locations. The commissioner told reporters Monday afternoon that the father met the eligibility criteria for a hunting license used for recreational hunting. Still unidentified, the father was issued a Category AB firearms license, which allowed him to possess the long firearms he registered. Lanyon told police the warrants were executed at a property in Campsie and another property in Bonnyrigg. Hopefully I'm saying this correctly. He added that there was a residential address, that they were staying in Campsie, though, however. The commissioner also told reporters that the father held a gun license for 10 years. He goes on to say there was very little knowledge of either of these men by the authorities. The person was determined to be entitled to have a firearms license, and the person had a firearms license for a number of years for which there were no incidents. So I also wanted to pull up video of a person, a man, who tried to help everyone that was being shot out here. And I'm going to pull up this video now. This man being deemed a hero, obviously. And in the middle of this attack, you can see him. And he's actually in the hospital recovering now. So I'm going to pull up that video as quickly as I can. I'll give you the picture of this man right here. This is the man that we are referring to. This is Ahmed Al-Ahmed, who was shot in trying to stop all this. Let me try and pull up the video. We'll go to the Fox News page here. So a lot of news. So I'll try and pull that up. But yeah, this man being deemed a hero. Australian leaders coming out, visiting this man in the hospital, obviously during the shooting, and many people believing he may have saved a ton of lives by doing this as well. So this is an image of him. This is a heroic bystander. Let me pull up the video. These are the press conferences that we're talking about that, but we're almost, here we go. So here's that video. I'll pull it up now. So this is the man here, as you can see. That's Ahmed Al-Ahmed, and he runs a fruit stand in this area. He sees this man shooting. He takes the gun away, as you can see right here, pointing it at the individual. And he was injured in this process, of course. And you can see him here in the hospital speaking with an Australian leader here. And he's expected to recover, obviously being deemed a hero. I mean, look at this video. It's just unbelievable that someone even captured this. But he goes, jumps right in as they are firing on innocent people here in Bondi Beach. He goes and grabs that gun. And as we mentioned in the press conference from the New South Wales Police Commissioner, he was saying these were registered recreational hunting firearms. That's what that appears to be right there, just from a bird's eye view of it there. So Ahmed Al-Ahmed, obviously just an unbelievable act of courage in all of this. And he is in the hospital recovering. So many people sending out their thoughts and prayers to him in all of this, obviously because of, just the straight courage to go and do that. So I wanted to go on and continue in talking about exactly what the police commissioner was saying as well in this. He noted that there were IEDs as well. They were rudimentary or fairly basic, though he also noted he was grateful they did not detonate. Police said the victims of the attack range in age from 10 to 87 years old, so everyone being affected on Bondi Beach here. The shooting happened during this annual celebration known as Hanukkah by the Sea. It was scheduled to kick off at 5 p.m. to celebrate the first day of the Jewish holiday. The shooting happened around 6:45, so people there for just under 2 hours being fired upon. The police say the attack was, quote, targeted against the Jewish community and is being investigated as an act of terrorism. At least 40 people remain hospitalized after the shooting, including 2 police officers. This is the worst attack against the Jewish community, as we are aware of, since, of course, October 7th, 2023, the Hamas terror attacks as well. So just really troubling scenes there out of Bondi Beach in Australia. We've got about 30 seconds left here, but when we come back, we are going to talk about the late, great film director, Rob Reiner. Many of you out there have probably seen his films. We got some devastating news last night that him and his wife, Michelle, were allegedly stabbed to death. And to make matters worse, it looks as though it was their son, Nick Reiner. So we'll go into that. We'll show you what some people had to say, including President Donald Trump, and really doubling down on what he had to say about the film director, Rob Reiner. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Austin Now, live from the Fox 7 Austin newsroom. Final segment of the show. Obviously not a very positive show for us tonight. Not a lot of happy news to report. A truly deadly weekend, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, we always hear stories coming in here. We always have to report on things that are happening not only here, regionally, around the nation, around the world, but this weekend in particular, a very tough one for a lot of people when you deal with 2 mass shootings. And then late last night, we got a report that 2 people were found dead, stabbed to death, in Rob Reiner's home. But they did not confirm if it was Rob Reiner or what we believe to be his wife at the time. It just said a 78-year-old and a 68-year-old. But by a simple Google search, if you looked up the age of Rob Reiner last night, 78 years old. So we assumed at the time, obviously we didn't want to report that. People magazine then coming out with an exclusive source, according to them, saying that not only were they stabbed to death in their home, but it was their son, Nick Reiner, 32-year-old Nick Reiner, who is the suspect in all of this. So I wanted to pull up an image here of Rob Reiner and his wife. That was recently, this is from TMZ last night. As you can see up here, it says Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle found dead in their LA home with knife wounds. Rob Reiner, if you have watched TV or film over the last 50 years, I'm sure you have seen at least one of his films doing great things like This is Spinal Tap, The Princess Bride, Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally. I mean, just so many great movies that he has put out. He himself gaining some fame, obviously, early on, being in All in the Family, of course, the son-in-law to Archie Bunker. His father, the great Carl Reiner, as well, working with the Dick Van Dyke Show. So here's Rob Reiner and his wife. So we get these chilling details about his son, Nick, being the alleged suspect in all of this, and just really troubling considering the fact that Rob Reiner, about 9 years ago, did a film that was based upon his son and his son's battle with addiction, and they were seen on a press tour talking with each other. So those images of Nick were ones that were circulating last night, and that is not how Nick Reiner looks right now, according to recent photos. So I wanted to go over, though, something that was then said this morning, and this has really grabbed headlines and all of this, and I almost considered starting with this tonight, but we'll get into it now. So President Trump on his Truth Social, if you're not familiar, he posts a lot on there, not as much on Twitter, of course, but I reposted this, so you can go on my Twitter, at Alec on Fox 7, if you want to pull this thing up and zoom in on yourself. But we can run through this thing right now. He said, quote, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, in all caps here, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before." Then he ends it with, "May Rob and Michelle rest in peace." So a lot of people coming out today, even Republicans, along with Democrats, just condemning everything he's just said here. So it doesn't directly say it, but the way he says, reportedly due to the anger he caused others, as if to say he was stabbed to death by his own son because of this, what he refers to as Trump derangement syndrome. So Trump gets asked about this earlier today, and I will pull this up now, and I'll let you guys hear it. He gets asked by a reporter about those comments, and he doubles down.
A number of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country, yeah.
Slips, Mr. President. Leader Thune doesn't seem...
So that was President Trump there talking about the late Rob Reiner. I'll turn that sound off there. But yeah, you can watch that video as well. I reposted that on Twitter as well. So President Trump under a lot of fire today for his comments. Of course, whether or not you agreed with Rob Reiner, who obviously did not like President Trump and was always seen as more of a liberal progressive, even in the All in the Family show. That was part of his character against Archie Bunker, who was sort of considered this bigot, if you will. So very interesting there that he's maintained his hatred there for Rob Reiner in all of this. But if you think about it, Rob Reiner, obviously, I was asked by a friend the other day, she had gone through a surgery, and she's like, I'm bedridden, I can't do anything, do you have any movie recommendations? So me and a group of our friends are offering movie recommendations, and I didn't do this on purpose, it just sort of happened. I threw out Princess Bride, A Few Good Men, When Harry Met Sally. I started throwing out all these movies that I think, you know, are a good watch or maybe can put you in a good mood. Maybe not something like an action thriller. Sometimes people don't want to sit there and watch, you know, a Saving Private Ryan or a horror movie, what have you. And just by going through all of that, I had named off some of his classics without even knowing it. So a really incredible run by Rob Reiner, specifically in the 80s going into the early 90s. I mean, if you've never seen The Princess Bride, just an absolute classic, a film that'll sure to be put you in a good mood, a classic fairy tale, if you will. Many people think When Harry Met Sally is like the ultimate rom-com, Billy Crystal, of course, and then A Few Good Men. I mean, I know some people think Tom Cruise overacts, but that is just a fantastic movie, a fantastic script. Jack Nicholson really at his best in that and saying you can't handle the truth. So a really incredible career by Rob Reiner. Of course, he was an actor as well, and I'm sure some of the younger crowd out there may not know this, but if you watch Wolf of Wall Street, he is Jordan Belfort's dad in the movie. So Leo DiCaprio's father in that movie, and you could argue, I can't show any of those videos because of just how inappropriate that movie is, but some of the best scenes in that, really a scene stealer in all of it. So I know many people out there will be thinking about Rob Reiner and his wife and all this, and we'll continue to update you guys more as we learn, as we have explained, his son Nick detained, believed to be, you know, the primary suspect in all of this after they were found dead in their home. So hopefully able to give you some better visuals. Tomorrow we'll work on it, we'll get better at it. So thanks for joining us per usual, and hopefully tomorrow bring you some more. We'll see you then.